you've moved on like I'm about to. 'Cause you don't really mean that.
Hello and welcome into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena. We wrap up our Boise State Colorado State doubleheader with League of Legends and the top two teams in the Mountain West going at it here in CLOL. Of course, Boise State won the Mountain West CLOL tournament in the fall. Colorado State right now, probably the hottest team in the Mountain West. They beat Nevada. They beat San Jose State. If they take care of business against Boise State, they have all but assured themselves the #1 seed going into the 4-team bracket. I am Michael Fisher, joined by Daniel Glovely Clock to call all of the action. And right now, Glovely, we're looking at probably the two best teams. Apologies to Nevada. They may have an argument, but the Rams have already beat the Wolfpack in the Mountain West. Boise State won in the fall. Colorado State last spring. The Broncos, I think, still remember those games. Can Boise State do anything to maybe catch Colorado State off guard? Because right now the Rams are firing on all cylinders.
But we have seen Boise State be a very tricky team to pin down, even in spite of the fact that they're one of the most easily scoutable teams here in the entire conference. We saw all kinds of players who are willing to swap to new champions or take those champions into new positions. We've seen what Boise State can do with Galio, flexing it across multiple different lanes and impacting play like that. We've seen players being willing to swap onto new champions. Even just like a couple weeks ago, we saw Prominence Blade pulled out a Lowy for the first time. So who knows, maybe these players have been picking up new tools, using this new preseason to create new ways to catch their opponents off guard.
Yeah, the one thing for Boise State that is going to be tricky here is we see our LoL spring format breakdown. 376 universities, 11 Mountain West teams with a 10-game round-robin regular season. The top 4 teams will advance. Mountain West winner and the runner-up will advance to the playoffs in early March. Boise State won a similar style tournament in the fall for LoL. Colorado State came in about 3rd place, I would say. Nevada was, of course, in 2nd. As we take a look here at our standings, Boise State and Colorado State both undefeated right now. Colorado State, as we mentioned, though, they have taken down Nevada. They 2-0'd the Wolfpack, which I think was maybe the most surprising result so far in CLO. They 2-1 San Jose State. Those 2 schools plus these 2 schools feeling like they're going to be the top 4. And I think the one thing, Lovely, we've got to keep an eye on, we know Boise State wants to play through Ethug. Colorado State wants to play through their top lane in Venona, who's given Boise State headaches in the past. There's a lot of pressure on Red Hots to make sure he does not let that lane get out of control quickly.
Definitely, and that's something the Broncos have historically been struggling with. There's a lot of focus that gets put on Red Hots in that early game when he doesn't get access to some of those tank champions. But he has shown some promise on other carry champions, though he has been struggling a little bit to maybe find his place there in that top lane.
And we see the team Venona, Rudy, Kapari, Kichi, and DJ Kush. Some of those names have taken on Boise State. Venona and DJ Kush in the team from the spring. Kichi and DJ Kush in that fall team that took 3rd place in the Mountain West in the LoL tournament. And of course, Boise State, we've talked about it. First time in a while, first time in my experience casting Boise State, the League of Legends team has 0 turnover. This team has been together for a while. We know how the strategy is going to break down. Govely, it's going to be play through Ethug. Dean's going to try and rotate, try and probably get a cent ahead in that mid lane. It's going to be on Red Hots and on Goblin in their solo lanes, basically, to stay alive. And this will be the first time I think this year we've seen a team that's going to want to try and pressure Red Hots. Usually teams have kind of said, all right, top's going to be Shen versus Malphite. It's going to be a wet noodle fight. Venona wants to get fed on champions like Camille and Renekton, and he wants to get ahead, and he wants to be the one to carry the team. So maybe we see Ethug top more than we've ever seen him in the past.
It's entirely possible. It's going to be very dangerous for Red Hots in particular in this matchup. A lot of champions have very strong early games right now. Camille and Renekton, of course, being very dominant in the meta right now, to the point that even Red Hots has been seen trying to pick up that Renekton.
So we hop into the Game 1 draft. Boise State with the first pick. Be curious to see where they want to go. Of course, we already know for Colorado State, Rumble's probably on the ban list. Graves might be an interesting one, but Boise State actually banning the Kindred, not something you would expect. Actually, never mind, the teams are swapped. That would make more sense. Boise State on the red side, they're going to ban that Olaf despite the recent nerfs. And there's that Ashe ban as well. Very interesting for Colorado State picking less meta champions, but champions Boise State plays really, really well.
I mean, Ashe is definitely something that Goblin is able to play well, even when the top 2 AD carries right now, Jin and Kaisa, are banned away. So maybe they're also trying to create opportunities for Boise State to either have to ban away 2 champions and therefore deny those power picks over to the side of Colorado. By doing this, they prevent Boise State from having a powerful pick in that back pocket.
Hold on, Glovely. I think something's missing from Colorado State's side. There's no Rumble up there.
There's no Rumble ban. Is that going to go through?
And they have first pick. I like to call the pseudo 4th ban. They're going to pick Udyr, who did just recently get a light Phoenix stance nerf. Nothing too major. As Riot said, a lot of the nerf's going to come from his items, so they don't want to nerf his champions. There's the Silas ban, something that the mid laner for Colorado State plays quite a bit. I think we've seen when Rumble's been up, I think there was one time that Boise State actually let it go through. If a team leaves Rumble up, you have to think they have a counter in mind. I think Boise State is debating long and hard.
Rumble!
And there it is. Oh, man, that is a very interesting choice from Colorado State. It has not worked out well historically for teams of the past.
Definitely a very suspicious choice, not one I would have gone with Colorado. Boise State decides to pick up for one of the first times in a while this Rumble. Not a champion that you'd normally think of taking to the mid lane, but Rumble has had a surprisingly wide variety of roles, and Nunu actually going to be the jungle pick here. So that's a very surprising choice given Ethug's usual fare.
I know Boise State at one point had been kind of banning Nunu on repeat, and I talked to the coaches about it, and they kind of said they didn't want to have that controlled jungler who can kind of just control everything you want to do. So maybe they want to try and slow that Udyr down, allow Ethug to basically have objective control all the time with the Consume Smite combo. There's the Renekton coming out for Venona, something that we see teams have been banning against Boise State, which is a very interesting choice. Curious what they're going to want to put Red Hots on. I would expect it to be something very, very tanky. There's a Senna picked up there as well for Colorado State. Be curious if that is an AD carry or a support Senna. But a very, very different draft than I think anyone probably expected. I don't know if anyone expected Rumble to get through and the bans to target onto Ethug and not Ascent this time.
Yeah, definitely. I'm super excited to see this Rumble. Gnar is going to be the lock-in for the top lane. He'll be relatively safe into the Renekton, does have that range advantage. You do still have to be very careful in that early game, though, especially if you're in mini form, because Renekton will still tear you apart. Seraphine going to be the ban. I think that's a wise choice. Senna, Seraphine is a very powerful combination together.
Yeah, the mid laner for Colorado State has actually even played Seraphine in the mid lane as well, as some of the more recent champions Riot has released have not always gone where I think they were designed to go. As you mentioned, that bot lane of Seraphine and Senna have been very strong. There's that Galio ban away by Colorado State, trying to target down Dean. And I will say, I know it sounds crazy, but something to me just tells me that that might not be a Nunu jungle. I feel like Boise State had to have a trick up their sleeve. It feels very un-Ethug-like to be on a tank. There's the Leona ban as well for Boise State. So a lot of targeted bans, not really banning OP champions, but trying to ban out players, something both these teams are going for right now.
I mean, if there's a trick up that sleeve, maybe the Nunu is a support or a mid lane?
I would think support. It can't be mid lane. We know Ascent is not giving up Rumble.
You say it can't be mid lane, but I've played mid lane Nunu, full AP, and it gets some crazy damage out at the cost of not being nearly as tanky, and you still have some pretty good roam. So, not impossible, but also not likely. But I mean, so is Nunu support. Kaisa going to be the final ban there for the Rams. Boise State going to lock in the Twitch.
That is an interesting one. Ethug has been playing a lot of Twitch in his climb to Challenger this season, which big shout out to Ethug for pulling that one off. I'll be curious if that's going to be Twitch in the jungle and then that Nunu maybe rotates down to the support, because it's not something we see Goblin play a lot of. Boise State shaping up in a very, very interesting fashion in this draft. Be curious to see what the Rams want to go with. There's the Rel, so it is going to be Senna ADC, and we'll see what they have up their sleeve to try and shut down Ascent on Rumble.
I'm real curious about this draft. I've got a few ideas in mind. I'm not going to give them away to anyone who may be watching the stream until we get through the rest of this draft, but there is definitely a lot of possibility for both of these teams. Already, both of them looking like crazy teamfight combinations, although maybe a bit more pick-oriented on the side of Colorado. One more pick available for them. That last slot is going to be most likely their mid lane.
Yeah, there's been a lot of Silas in his matches in CLoL. That has been banned away. There's been Orianna. It's going to be Aurelia. That is going to be quite the mid lane matchup. You'd usually see that in top lane between Rumble and Aurelia. Very, very interesting to see how Colorado State, you have to think if you're leaving Rumble up against Ascent, that you had a plan up your sleeve to counter that Rumble, and there's the Janna last pick. So it will be Nunu, we think, in the jungle, but when Twitch is available for Ethug, you really have no idea where he's going to go with that.
So with all of those champions locked in, I would like to propose a potential change to how they might be planning to run this team composition. Something that we remember previously is that Red Hots has actually played in the jungle, and one of the champions he brought out for the side of Boise State was this Nunu. Do you think it's possible that they are running a lane swap where they have Red Hots move into the jungle position, someone else moves up into that top lane, and then you have Ethug move down to the bottom lane with the Twitch?
There's a potential for it. I mean, when Twitch has been picked, it has historically been Ethug on that Twitch. He's usually running in the jungle. Like I said, there's been a lot of Twitch in his match history. On his most recent climb this year to Challenger, a lot of it not in the jungle role as well. So a very, very interesting choice here by Boise State. We'll see how it all shapes up. Colorado State and Boise State, the Broncos, the defending CLoL champions from the fall. Colorado State right now probably the hottest team in the league. They've both taken down Nevada and San Jose State. If they beat Boise State, they are most likely in control of their own destiny for the #1 seed in that 4-game playoff. So it is going to be very, very interesting to see how this game shapes up. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot on the table. We talked about Boise State being unpredictable, Glovely. They're so unpredictable, we still don't know where they're going. Usually after draft, we can kind of like, okay, maybe we see how the pieces fit. It might not be champions. It might be actual summoners, as you kind of alluded to, that might be changing.
It's entirely possible. I mean, we do see exactly what sort of composition they're going for. It's definitely oriented around that Twitch. Everything else on their team is very oriented towards being a frontline, taking damage, disengaging for this Twitch, giving them protection, or even just laying down the ultimate from the Rumble to prevent teams from being able to engage safely onto the backline. So I think Twitch is definitely going to be the focus of the composition. It's just a question as to where it's going.
Well, we'll have to see. A week ago, the Broncos faced off against San Diego State. Let's take a look back at some of those top plays from the Broncos' victory over San Diego State to remain undefeated at CLOL. San Diego State with quite the unique comp here in this win-or-go-home game for the Aztecs. The Broncos lead. Who's going to join the fight? They're going to get the flash away for both of them, but a huge body slam plus the ultimate to knock our Pike right back into the fight. Gravity Well's going to cut him off. He's got no mana to go everywhere. It's a double kill for an ascent, and that's why they play Gragas in the bot lane. A huge going to join the fight. They're going to get the flash away for both of them, but a huge body slam plus the ultimate to knock our Pike right back into the fight. Gravity Well's going to cut him off. He's got no mana to go everywhere. It's a double kill for an ascent, and that's why they play Gragas in the bot lane. A huge down. Wildgrowth going to be forced out onto Peter Lee. Huge Ash Arrow snipe, and it's a 2-for-1 for Boise State. Teleport is going to be committed here by Knee Picks. Goblin, meanwhile, just farming. Ethog going to bait him right into Dean. Body Slam's going to knock him up. Here's the teleport from Red Hots. Can he get in range for the taunt? Huge Haymaker's going to land. Explosive Cast knocks him aside. Showstopper's not going to work. Boise jump right onto Chemo here. His entrance is going to be used. They're going to land right onto Psyche Glitch. He does have the Blast Cone available, but he's going to get rooted up and taken out. Ethug's going to have to run away on very low health. Paddle Star electrocute. Good night, Peter Lee. Chemo going to try and run away. Paddle Star is going to come out. The flash from Ascent. It's a double kill for him. We saw why the Zoe was banned away in game. Kaisa in the back line, body blocks come out, huge double taunt, explosive cast to separate the team, send Knee Picks on the back line, Haymaker gonna almost eliminate Goblin, there's the Showstopper as well, he'll flash away and Boise State's gonna pick up one. Chemo now has to try and teleport away, there's a sent in on the back line, Polymorph is not gonna matter, it's a double kill for Red Hot. Boise State missing one for the clean ace, they'll seize the tower.
Out here by the Dragon.
Send Knee Picks dropping incredibly low. Kimmo barely staying alive. Lamberspite is going to come out. Shadow Realm used, but it's not going to be. That was quite the great series for Boise State. None of those champions that we saw in those highlights going to make an appearance. Colorado State clearly doing their homework, making sure that Ash, that Kindred, not going to be anywhere close to Summoner's Rift. We get Doc's keys to the game going into game number 1. Focus on a strong comp, played in the win condition, focus on what we've learned, and E-Thug Smash. Going to be something a little bit different now that he's on the Nunu as opposed to the Kindred or a Hecarim. Both of those banned away from him. Doc's keys brought to you by Account, whose Identity Trust Global Network delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables a personalized customer experience from one of the 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. If you want to stay safe online, go check them out at count.com, KOUNT.com. And I'm going to be really curious, Chloe. I mean, of course, the hidden Doc's keys to the game that I don't think anyone ever expected is going to be just let Ascent do his thing on Rumble as we hop right into the game. And you kind of called it, Glovely. We've got Goblin in the top lane, Red Hot's in the jungle, and we've got Ethug in the AD carry role. Not something that we were expecting for Boise State to pull out in probably the biggest match of the regular season.
I mean, it does sort of make sense given the players themselves and their history. Goblin, of course, playing on a marksman-like champion. That Gnar does kind of go back and forth between pretending to be Teemo and pretending to be Sion. So you've got a marksman of a sort that can also be your frontliner. Red Hots has experience on that Nunu in the jungle. And, of course, Ethug, if you're not feeling safe in the jungle with that Twitch, take it down to the bot lane.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that may have opened this up is the fact that Ascent isn't going to need, we expect, much help in that mid lane. He should feel very confident. Don't know how often he sees Aurelia in solo queue going against him, but the fact that he got his favorite champion by far probably allowed Boise State to be a bit more flexible. I think this still is going to put a lot of pressure, even more than normal, onto Goblin, because he's not used to playing in the top lane, and that's where Colorado State wants to focus. Kichi, DJ Kush going to walk right into it. Dean going to get knocked up there on the Janna, trying to put some poke damage onto Kichi. And Boise State right now, I'll be curious how these first couple minutes goes with guys playing outside of their normal role in a team environment, because Dean and Ethug, I'm not sure how often they play together outside maybe some scrims.
Already the players are starting to poke each other on all sides here, especially in this bottom lane. A lot of focus, but Senna, of course, does have the ability to continuously heal herself up, so going to be relatively safe in that bot lane in spite of everything. We can see Goblin about to get shoved in on that wave up in the top side.
I think all eyes going to be probably for Colorado State on that top lane. How fast can Venona get ahead of Goblin? And then for Boise State fans, of course, what can Ascent do on that Rumble? When it's been played, it has been very, very deadly for the teams that allowed it through. Venona's going to put a ton of damage onto Goblin. And I mean, the story right now, of course, is Boise State with the 3-man swap. Red Hot's in the jungle on the Nunu, of course, always one of the safer jungle picks, so we'll see how much impact he can have, as we see right there. Kapari putting a ton of damage on Ascent. He's going to be forced to run away under tower. The Ignite comes out. Tower shot as well, gets the flash, the Ignite, the mid laners trading back very, very close to death for both of them.
Incredibly close. One thing you have to remember about Irelia is that her big defensive option only works against physical damage, so a lot of Rumble, what he does, is going to just ignore all the defensive capabilities of Irelia.
Do see the CS advantage in the mid lane quite large so far. It's 22, it was 22 to 12. Ascent trying to close that right now. No flash for Kapari, no Ignite for Ascent. Still has that flash if a gank comes out. You see the pings coming out from Rudy. Trying to make a play onto Ascent, bait him into being too greedy. Aurelia has back to engage in on the bot lane. Kichi forced to flash away. He has Ignite as well. Exhaust comes out. The healing should be enough, and the threat of the turret's going to say Boise State cannot get any further.
And it is that turret right now that's the only thing keeping them alive. Honestly, this is the most aggressive I've ever seen a Janna lane ever played. We do see a gank up in the top lane, though.
Goblin going to try and kite around on the turret. The turret has not yet aggroed. Now it will go on, but there's nothing they can do. It's first blood over to Colorado State. We talked about it in the open, Glovely. They want to put pressure on that top lane. They're probably disappointed Venona didn't get the kill, but that's exactly what they wanted.
And really, Renekton combos so well with just about any jungler who has access to that crowd control, since he has very quick, easy access to that point and click stun. And in the early game, he deals so much damage that those tower dives are actually possible. Teleport has been used by Goblin just to get back to lane, make sure he doesn't lose any farm, but there's still an Udyr nearby.
There's still an Udyr nearby. They're taking away Red Hot's jungle. He's right now just trying to power clear, hit level 6, allow that Nunu to be able to roam and take major objectives. You see Dragon up very soon. Might be something Boise State has in mind with their aggressive bot lane. But right now, Boise State feels like they're just trying to get guys familiar with their role. And Ascent right now, probably a little upset he didn't get that first blood and just trying to make sure he doesn't give anything over to Aurelia. As we see, it looks like Udyr is back, so Boise State's going to have some peace and quiet for a little bit.
Little calm here, 1-0 going over to Colorado State, but hey, it's still fairly early in the game. Boise State not finding their big picks, and honestly, Colorado State way better suited to getting those early picks early on here in the game. They're going to have a lot harder time in the later stages of the game when Boise State starts grouping up.
Yeah, we do see the CS advantage in almost all of the lanes. Very much favoring Colorado State, especially the top lane, mid lane, about 10 CS difference. Boise State does have the small lead in the bot lane. It will be interesting, though. It is that AP Twitch that Riot has recently been trying to buff into viability just a little bit. It's something that Ethug has been playing quite a lot of, but you are going to lose that sort of Twitch team fight oomph of just hit, spray, and pray and just cleave down an entire enemy team. Going to rely a lot more on trying to spread your poisons and expunge people to death. That's going to be something to watch out for as we see Rudy chilling around Ascent. He does not yet have the equalizer, but should be pretty close.
Definitely a lot more magic damage focus than I would have expected. We do see an attempt by Ethug to sneak his way into that mid lane, but is going to get spotted out by a ward.
And the Dragon up, of course, with the Nunu on the map. You have to make sure you are ready for that Dragon to spawn and immediately be taken out. Looks like Boise State They're pinging around that location. Rel is backing, so that should be a relatively free dragon for Boise State. They're going to hold off on it, though, which is a very interesting play because they have full bot lane priority right now, and that feels like a wasted objective if you're Boise State.
Definitely, especially when you have the Nunu. It's very hard to steal away a dragon from a Nunu, to the point that many players will try to make sure the Nunu is eliminated from the map or is as far away as possible before they'll even start it. Looks like they are now going to collapse onto this dragon. It's Earth Dragon, first of the game. Looks like it's going to go relatively uncontested.
Yeah, you see Goblin rotating down, the question mark pings coming out. Colorado State has a good idea that is exactly where Boise State is. It looks like Rudy's trying to get in range. Looks like no, he's just going to go over to the red buff. Boise State's got this one pretty easily, so still letting Nunu do what he's known best for and just take every objective and control that portion of the map. Be curious to see if Boise State puts any pressure onto that Rift Herald that's spawning here in the next minute, as the rest of the map has been pretty calm, but you see Venona 60 CS, Goblin 28. That Renekton is going to be a problem very, very quickly.
Yeah, someone who's played into the Renekton a lot and had some troubles with it. It is not a fun lane to be in, especially when he does start getting that early lead from the jungle ganks. He's such an impressive champion in that early game, and it's very hard to get around the amount of just sheer sustain he gets through his items and kit.
Wards from the mid lane's going to go down. That's the other thing to be interesting of, is we know Ethug as the jungler loves to be everywhere. That Twitch does kind of open him up for a little bit more roaming than you'd see from the stereotypical AD carry. With that invisibility, he's going to use it right now. They're going to try and make a play here on Kapari in the mid lane, but he was so far pushed out. Stealth is going to fade, and his position will be given away, and he'll have to take that long walk back down to bot lane with nothing to show for it.
Good attempt, though. It's nice to see that Boise State is trying to go for a more roam-based playstyle to propel themselves ahead. They are going to get caught out by a ward there, unfortunately.
Oh, it still looks like they want to make that play. Ethug's going to jump in to start it. There's Equalizer as well. KGB taking low. Sent's going to pick up one. Teleport coming in from Renekton. Is he going to get there in time? The answer is no. Now Venona's in a 1v3, going to flash stun on Ethug. Slices through him. Has the dice available, but he's going to try and retreat. The ultimate used as well. No rotation for the rest of Colorado State. They're going to leave that Renekton all alone. Boise State picks up 3 in the bot lane. That's a great play for the Broncos.
And that's big for Boise State. 2 eliminations onto that terrifying rumble that everybody knows about. Here's really quick teleporting, but you're teleporting yourself into a 1 versus 3. Meanwhile, on the bottom side of the screen, we can see Nunu just saying hello, but overall, Boise State taking control of this bottom lane, using their mid lane to get themselves ahead, and picking up a Renekton on the way.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if you're Colorado State, if you're Venona, you can argue you got the flash out of Ethug. Boise State burned 5 summoners in that fight. They did not get a single flash from Kichi or DJ Kush, both of them kind of accepting their fate. Venona had to use the flash as well, but couldn't quite get away. And there are opportunities for him to get away. I think he went a little bit too aggro, had the dice available to maybe be able to dash back to his turret, but Boise State plays that one perfectly. Exactly what they want. Ascent rotates down, picks up a double and an assist. You get the other kill over to Ethug. For Boise State, you could have not played that much better. Rudy and Goblin now going to be over on the top side of the map. Does look like they picked up Rift Herald during that bottom lane tussle, so Colorado State at least getting something for that triple kill.
It does look like Boise State is aware at this point that Udyr has been invading, and that's going to make things a little more difficult for Red Hots. Not quite able to keep up with the insane clear speed of that Udyr. Only a few champions can really keep pace with him. But they do still have that strong objective control, and Boise State hasn't lost a major objective yet. That Rift Herald's still available.
No, the Rift Herald, I think, was picked up by Rudy. Yeah, he got the purple hands. I saw it when he was up top lane. He picked it up when we were watching that triple kill for the bot lane. So it's a good play by the Colorado State jungler. It's not going to matter, though. It looks like Boise State Red Hots now going to come down. They're going to try and just siege down this turret, preventing that extra gold of the first turret going over to the side of Colorado State. Just 1 plate left for Boise State. We'll see if they can get it quick enough. Rift Herald has been summoned in the mid lane. Probably going to put it to about halfway on that first turret. Venona's going to rotate down as well. Equalizer will be used, but it's not going to be enough, and Colorado State should be able to pick up first turret here just in the nick of time ahead of Boise State, so they will get that extra gold and make the most use of that Rift Herald. Boise State Looks like Ethug wants to pressure that bottom lane turret. You can see the pings going out, but he should be able to get it in time. So Boise State misses out on first turret by about 45 seconds.
On the other hand, though, they are going to give that solo gold over to Ethug, so getting their primary carry up in gold, of course, always going to be useful. Still playing that AP Twitch build. I still can't believe that this is a thing that Riot made, and they're like, yeah, this is okay, this is fine. We like this.
I mean, I guess if it gets Twitch to be played, they'll take it. I don't know if it was really, I think it was more, you know, a niche little for fun project. It's kind of how I felt it was used, but I mean, clearly Ethug has played it at a high level in solo queue. It gave the Broncos enough confidence for him to pull it out in an actual match as well. I mean, he plays a ton of Kindred, so the, you know, some of those skills carry over. He doesn't have the ult that will save him. There's no Lambs or Spite for him to flash into the back line. So he does have to be careful for that, but for the most part, I think it does make sense. It's a very viable transition between Kindred and Twitch. Twitch just has the invisibility instead of Lambs for Spite.
I mean, it's certainly not the weirdest thing we've ever seen Boise State play. As a teleport is coming out into that mid lane, Boise State committing those resources just to go down and protect the dragon.
Yeah, I was like, there's no fight breaking out. Goblin just wants to be into this dragon as soon as possible. You do see the rage bar sitting at about 90. If Boise State can engage soon, as you said, it's no longer a Teemo, it's a Scion. So Goblin's got to make sure he does not get into combat and trigger Mega Gnar too early. He wants to wait for this fight to break out. Rage starting to decrease, so he will get in combat. Equalizer is going to be used. There's the ult from Red Hot's not much more than a shield. Boise State does have Kapari in on the back line. There's the Monsoon from Dean to just push everyone away. Mega Gnar is going to come out. Will Goblin commit or no? They have no vision. Nice knock onto the wall for Rudy. Gets a giant stun. Red Hot's going to pick up the dragon. Now they're going to take down Rudy as well. DJ Kush dropping low. Ethug's going to get one as well. And there's another one for Boise State. The teleport from Kapari way too late. It's a double kill for Ascent. Boise State gets 3 more and the dragon. The Broncos played that fight perfectly.
And you're seeing just how devastating the team fight for Boise State is with the Nunu in the front line, the Gnar who can sweep a whole bunch of people into one side if he has that bar up. This is an optimal team fight for Boise State, and of course the ability to drop that equalizer in the middle of the fights. Overall, very well played by Boise State.
And you can't quite see it in that replay, but Kapari had been separated from the rest of his team and tried for a flank. Boise State got him at 10%. He was forced to back and then teleported in so late, he wasn't really even... He didn't even matter in that fight. You might as well send a cannon minion in for Colorado State instead of their mid lane. So Boise State played that perfectly. Colorado State just not on the same page of where they're attacking from, and that forced them into a 5v4, and they stood no chance in that.
Ethug going to be the one to pick up that red buff for his team now. Next major objective available on the map at this point is most likely going to be either a second Rift Herald or a Baron. Rift Herald going to be a little bit, but 6 minutes to that crucial Baron buff.
Yeah, Rift Herald loses some of her value when there's no plates available. You don't get that sudden influx of gold, the ability to siege first tower like we saw Rudy pull off earlier for Colorado State. So not always the most contested objective when plates are down, but still something that I'm sure the teams will keep an eye out for. She will be spawning in about a minute on the map. As we do see, it looks like Kapari has rotated down to the bot side, and surprisingly, Boise State, even with that bot tower taken down, still wants to make sure Colorado State cannot get pressure on that. So Ethug and Dean going to rotate right back down.
15-minute mark here. Boise State up 5 eliminations, 2 dragons. Tied in towers, though, and overall, gold is still pretty even thanks to that farm lead, but Ascent might be getting caught out.
He's going to try and flash away, still gets stunned. Gonna just hold on to everything. He will be shut down. Unfortunately, he got a little over aggro. Thought Venona was all alone, and that's the last thing Boise State wanted to see was that huge shutdown going over to Venona on that Renekton.
Burning the flash as well, so he's going to be a little more vulnerable the next time he goes out to lane. Unfortunate to get that onto the Renekton, but he is starting to hit that point where Renekton's power kind of falls off a little bit. We do see the Udyr coming around as Boise State sieges this turret. They are going to pick it up, so 1 more turret over to Boise State.
Teleport available for Venona. Surprise, there is a ward behind Boise State that he did not want to teleport in. He did use the ult in that pick of Ascent, but I was kind of shocked he, I guess, opting for the turret instead. Not a bad choice for Colorado State, so they'll make sure the turrets are still tied at 2 aside. And that's going to be something Boise State's got to watch out for. It looks like Colorado State does want to bait Boise State into making these solo lane plays and then try and pick them off. As you see, Kapari still down on that bot side. No teleport available, so Rift Herald's just going to go over to Boise State for free. And Colorado State trying this 1-3-1 right now, and that looks to be like how they think they can beat Boise State.
Definitely trying to bait Boise State into these solo fights is probably their best opportunity, since Boise State's at their strongest when they are together as a team. But on the other hand, Colorado State has a lot of great lane bullies, great duelists. So forcing Boise State into these one-on-one opportunities will make it a lot easier for them to pick up crucial picks.
We do see some of the mythic items being finished there. Chemtech tank for Rudy. We also see the Kraken Slayer picked up for Kichi. Meanwhile, Boise State has a pair, one on Rumble and one on John. As we're going to see Kapari going to get caught backing there. Spray and pray going to be used. Goblin rotating down as well. There's nowhere that Aurelia can go. The shutdown goes over to Goblin. Boise State takes him down nonetheless.
I don't think we even saw an expunge there. Just from that spray and pray being used, just the auto attack damage. He does have now that Gnasher's Tooth, so he's going to be dealing a lot more damage on those auto attacks now that he was in his laning phase.
Dean rotating over and forcing out a smite from Rudy. Never something you really see as an Udyr panic smiting away from a Janna. No objectives up, so he won't really get punished, but Dragon is up in about a minute. Smite will be off cooldown by then. Just funny to see, but here we go. I mean, this is something we see Colorado State do in the past. They just want Venona to continuously shove top lane. How many resources is Boise State going to throw at this Crocodile? At least 3 for now. Dean's there, the perfect tornado predict. Gonna try and slice and dice into the fight. Ethag's gonna drop very low. Barely survives. A huge shield comes out from Dean to keep him alive. Boise State nearly lost everything in a 1v4. Can they keep the pressure up? Red Hot's going to make sure that Rift Scuttle stays on the Broncos side, but that was near disaster for Ethag. I don't think anyone expected Venona to say, all right, I'm trying to take you down with me.
Redacted is still very powerful, and he is very ahead of Goblin there in that top lane. Although Goblin, thanks to these team fights, has really been catching up, but now the no-team fight's breaking out.
DJ Kush going to be forced to flash away. He'll dash over the wall as well. Blast Cone still available for the Dragon if they want to steal. Venona is alive with teleport, so Boise State has to be careful. The jungle advantage is 2 levels on the side of Rudy, so Smite would go his way. Of course, Nunu with that consume. It looks like Colorado State realizes it's a fight they do not want to take. They're going to give that one over to Boise State, and the Broncos now on Soul Point for that Cloud Soul.
And Cloud Soul is very useful for the entire side of Boise State. A lot of them getting so much team fighting power out of their ultimates, except perhaps maybe the Gnar, who have to rely on that charge. Ethag forcing a flash out. He's really far ahead at this point now. 2-0-6 on that Twitch.
It almost feels like one of the advantages Boise State has putting Ethag on that AD carry is his unpredictability and his absolute need to feast for kills. No AD carry is going to make a play like, you know what, I'm going to try and just bait a solo flash out from the enemy AD carry. So that unpredictability of Ethag in that AD carry role could be something that Boise State might have. Kind of catches Colorado State off guard, because I don't think Kichi was ready for that. Had to blow the flash. They just barely stay alive. Still a Rift Herald in the pocket of Red Hots. Probably has to drop it soon. The fact that Dragon didn't really have a big fight breakout does kind of mean that there's not really a great use for Rift Herald right now. Maybe top side if they get a kill on Venona. That is where he's heading. I don't think he'll get there in time, but that's why I don't really like second Rift Herald. She doesn't really get a lot of value, and most of the time you just have to use her and you don't even get a ward while she's in your back pocket. Oh no.
This is so dangerous. My heart.
So Goblin actually, despite how bad the early game went, has the level advantage on Venona. I think Venona could still win the 1v1, but no one was there in time. Now you see DJ Kush rotating up. Rudy there in the jungle trying to take care of that blue buff and that Gromp at the same time. Baron has spawned. Boise State's going to use that Rift Herald right before she expires, and maybe the Broncos want to bait an early Baron with this Nunu. You see Kapari is on the bot side of the map, does have the teleport available. There's the spray and paint onto Venona. It's just going to force him off the tower, so Heraldina will get the charge, and Boise State will at least pick up 1 turret with her. Snowball going to land on Venona, but Red Hot's now cut out. Ascent's trying to rotate over, does have the equalizer available. Is he going to drop it? No. Boise State's got to be careful, because Kapari right now is working on that tier 2 bot lane tower. They've got to get something. There's the equalizer. There goes the Gator. Another charge for Heraldina. Rudy going to try and run away. Biggest snowball ever is going to knock him up in the air. Kichi and DJ Kush trying to get away from Red Hots, who's trying to keep as many roots on them as possible. Boise State's going to flash in. They're going to take down 1. Can they get DJ Kush? Going to try and dash away to safety. Ascent is overheated, so he's going to have to be careful with tower aggro. Ethag makes him go pop, and Boise State's on that top inhibitor turret.
And a lot of that was initially just trying to put pressure on that first tower, but Boise State presented with an opportunity, presented with their whole team gathered together in one area, commits to using those huge AoE ultimates, ultimately going to get themselves an inhibitor.
And Goblin had actually managed to pull a back off and was able to go down bot lane and stop Kapari from getting that tier 2 bot lane turret. So Boise State plays that perfectly once again. You see the scores 4-0-8. The Twitch has the Rabadons now as well. Looks like he's going to upgrade into a Magi Soul Stealer, and Ethug in his first AD carry game for Boise State, absolutely on fire.
Definitely, and that was such a huge gold swing for Boise State. 3 turrets and an inhibitor. So now they're going to have that constant pressure in the top lane, which Venona, of course, does have the wave clear to be able to shove back, but it means that he's going to have to spend much more time doing so, commit much more resources, and give Boise State the ability to move across the map so much more freely, which is already proven devastating.
It is quite interesting with how much emphasis that Riot put on these mythic items, as we see Equalizer is going to be used, Spray and Pay as well. Rudy just barely going to be able to run to safety. Expunge knocks him to 30%. With how much emphasis Riot put on these mythic items, the fact they were 22 minutes in the game and 3 people still do not have one is kind of crazy to me.
I think that it ultimately, for some of these champions, it just comes down to the kind of build. The Twitch, for example, there's not really an AP auto attack mythic that you could use on a Twitch. You need that Nashor's Tooth first before you can really start doing any damage. But I think in a lot of cases it comes down to just certain champions don't have a mythic that suits their playstyle, but Goblin might have found a friend.
A lot of those champions have suffered quite a bit. Goblin stopped the back on Kapari. Here comes the Death Squad. Not much that Aurelia can do. You see the pings. Colorado State wants to transition this into a dragon. With a Senna on your team, your dragon damage is not the greatest, and Boise State might be able to roam over in time. But they're going to do it anyway.
On the other side of the map, though, Baron is being started, so they could just be trying to trade one major objective for another. With the Senna, they could have the sustain to be able to take that.
No. Not even close.
Not with Boise State on the way.
No, Red Hots, the Boise State read that one perfectly. They're going to rotate over. Dragon is spawning. It's a Cloud Soul for the Broncos if they want to pick it up. Kapari should be up in time with the teleport. Venona has teleport as well. So Boise State going to try and burst this Dragon down. 5 on Kapari's teleport, but you see those super minions putting way too much pressure on Colorado State. Boise State with another uncontested Dragon, and that is Soul for them.
There we go.
The only thing Boise State had to fight against was the lag bot. Didn't even have to worry about the ramps.
Definitely not, and that's going to be that Cloud Soul for the side of Boise State. So keep an eye out for that Elder Dragon if the game even lasts long enough at the current rate it's moving. Boise State pushing a blistering pace towards the end game here. We're only 24 minutes into the game and already 4 dragons over to Boise State.
I'm not sure if it's a blessing or a curse that when Ethug hits Spray and Pray, he's going to get movement speed. Because it's going to make him go faster into the enemy backline, which is usually not what you want your 80 carry to go. But still, if Ethug's getting on the backline as Twitch, it's probably not what Colorado State wants. Of course, for Goblet as well and Ascent, they're going to love the cooldown reduction. Very interesting for the Colorado State just not being able to contest any of those dragons at all.
The pings have been going around those Baron. Venona might be caught out here. Does have the slice and dice to get over the wall. Is going to commit it, but still goes down anyway. The damage coming from Ethug is ridiculous. 5-0-9 now on this Twitch. Boise State feeling perfectly confident in taking the Baron, and why shouldn't they? They have a huge numbers advantage.
Ari going to try and at least salvage the situation for Colorado State. He's going to pick up that tier 2 bot lane turret. Now going to try and counter jungle, but still very far away from being able to put any major pressure on Boise State's base, especially now with that Baron buff. No contest once again, and this is textbook Nunu right here. Yeah, the Udyr might counter jungle you. He might be ahead in level, but you can secure every single major objective and put your team so far ahead that there's nothing that Udyr can do to stop you.
And there's a reason I really love these champions who bring utility to their team. They always have something that they can contribute, no matter how far they are behind. So that's why I like seeing things like the Nunu and the Ivern and supportive champions that might otherwise not be your big carries.
Right now for Colorado State, the only other problem they really have is all of their carries are physical damage based for the most part, especially with the Aurelia and the Renekton. So Boise State can just build armor and shut everything down. Venona going to get caught, has to use the ult for the health bonus. It's only Dean and Red Hots he's running away from. Ascent was there, but the fact that Jana and Nunu are scaring out a Renekton just tells you how this game has gone for Colorado State.
Definitely. The fact that it was 2 members and he had backup just behind him and still felt like he needed to pop that ultimate. No wonder Ethug coming through almost wipes out the Senate. Look at that health bar bleeding out. Boise State also takes a tower down in the bottom side. They're continuing to pressure in on this base, and I don't think Colorado can stop it.
There's not much for the Rams. Ethug's still sitting in invisibility, going to try and sneak up. It will fade here before he can get in range, but the Baron buff cannon minions are just starting to push down on Colorado State. That's another inhibitor taken down. Boise State has their eyes on this Nexus turret. There's Equalizer going to come up. Probably going to be knocked up in the air. He's going to go pop. Going to try and use the ult for DJ Kush to keep the rest of the team alive, but it's not going to matter. It's a double kill for Ethug. Red Hot's running away, trying to keep the perfect score alive. Venona goes down. It's only Kichi alive for Colorado State. There is not much he could do, and that is going to be the game. Boise State puts on a clinic in their first game in their new roles. And the Broncos right now up 1-0 in this best of 3. The Idaho Army National Guard, proud supporter of Boise State Esports, the top plays presented by the Idaho Army National Guard. I would not be shocked if you just put that whole game as your top play, because that was insane for Boise State from about minute 8 or 9. The Idaho Army National Guard invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time. More than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. The Idaho Army National Guard is the best team out there. Reach out on Twitch at iGuard Gaming. Boise State picks up game number 1. I don't want to say in shocking fashion, Glovely, but the fact that it was Goblin in the top lane, Red Hot's in the jungle, and Ethug in the bot lane, not something any of us expected. What are your thoughts for Boise State really quickly before we go to break after that Game 1 win?
I mean, let's look at what they did well. They put Colorado in a position where they didn't know what was going on from the champions. They went without getting eliminated on 3 different members of their team. They got their hard carry on a hard carry champion and gave him the opportunity to get all of his damage out while still being protected, even when he plays as aggressively as he does. Boise State just knows their players, and that's one of the benefits of being this veteran squad that's able to keep all of your members together to know how the others are going to react.
Yeah, what a win for Boise State. We said Colorado State, the hottest team right now in the Mountain West. They've already beaten Nevada. They'd already beaten San Jose State. Now they've got to work for it here. Boise State on match point. But we're going to take a break. We'll be back. Who's going where? We don't even know. Find out in game number 2 after this short break.
Legendary parts for legendary wins.
Here are a couple lessons I've learned over the years. Friendships come in all shapes and sizes. And always buckle up. Seatbelts save lives. That's a rule we can all live by.
Visit NationalGuard.com to begin your guard adventure.
Welcome back into the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, getting ready for game number 2 between Boise State and Colorado State in CLoL. The two top teams in the Mountain West, one might think, at least 2 of the teams that are expected to qualify for the 4-team playoff after the round-robin regular season is done. And Boise State put notice to the rest of CLoL that, yeah, sometimes they like to make flex picks, but now half their roster is a flex as well. As you see the breakdown, 376 schools, 11 Mountain West teams, 10-game regular season round-robin, both Boise State and Colorado State undefeated. You'd argue the Rams have played the higher quality opponents. They've taken down both Nevada, who was second place in the fall, and San Jose State, who's expected to be top 4. As you saw there, the top 4 teams make the Mountain West playoffs, with the winner and the runner-up making the overall playoffs. And we just saw a pretty crazy comp for Boise State, and this time it wasn't even the champions, Glovely. It was Ethug in the 80 carry role, Red Hots in the jungle, Goblin in the top lane. Ascent somehow got Rumble, which isn't even the headline, which is absolutely insane to me. Where do we go from here is the first question, though.
So at this point, if I was Colorado, I'd be kind of scratching my head trying to think, okay, what kind of champions are they going to pull out in these other crazy roles? We see the Kindred being taken off the table, of course. Very strong champion. There goes the Twitch. So they want to make sure that what just happened doesn't happen again. But that does mean they're going to leave other jungle picks available. They could just swap back to standard roles at this point.
Yeah, they banned the Hecarim and the Ashe last time. I think a lot of teams have somewhat learned that not banning Rumble is maybe an interesting choice. I mean, you got the Rumble, that might leave Hecarim up. It is really interesting because that was the thing, is Ethug's been playing a lot of Twitch in that 80 carry role climbing. He hasn't been playing a lot of anything else. So the Colorado State's actually going to ban the Udyr. So they're going to leave Hecarim, they're going to leave Ashe, and once again they're going to leave Rumble on the table, which is absolutely mind-boggling to me. Sure, you can make the argument that Kapari didn't really lose lane. Ascent made a great play rotating down bot lane, picked up a triple kill. They're going to steal the Hecarim away, so it's Rumble on the table again. And now you have to wonder if Boise State goes back to their standard comp.
It's definitely possible. I think the Twitch was what really made that bot lane swap viable there to push Goblin up to that top side of the map. Nunu's still going to be locked in, so either Ethug feels like he's going to be comfortable on that Nunu, or Boise State feels really comfortable swapping lanes.
I would have to think that it is not Ethug on the Nunu. So there's the Shen, there's the Nunu. So it seems like Boise State's swap is here to stay. Now you wonder if Colorado State on the last 2 picks around 1 picks up that Rumble, or if now Kapari maybe has a better idea of something that might counter. The Aurelia worked well. I can't deny that. That's probably the worst laning phase we've seen Ascent have. He still finished 6-1 in whatever and was a dominating force the rest of the game. There's the Kaisa pickup, and it looks like Colorado State thinks they have an answer for Rumble this time.
I do think that the Kaisa pick is really strong for Colorado State. We saw them play it previously in a lot of their other matches. They usually pair it with something tanky with crowd control, so I'd expect a lot of different champions still up on the board. Even if you ban away like Braum, Leona, Rel, Thresh, you're still going to have champions available for that sort of play style.
You'd have to think if Boise State doesn't take the Rumble here, it was going to be banned away. So there is the Rumble once again. Never thought I would ever see Boise State get Rumble once in a series, let alone twice. But Colorado State's, pun intended, trying to play with fire, and Boise State's going to ban that Aurelia. So Kapari's now got to go to something else that he thinks can handle that Rumble very well.
And with the Sylas off the board, that also frees Boise State up, since a lot of their champions that they like to play have very powerful ultimates. So getting that Sylas off the board gives you a good laning phase. It gives you the ability to deny those crazy ultimates being flung back at you. Really lets you play your team style. But the Aurelia, normally you wouldn't think to ban that away when you're running a Rumble into it, especially when you know you have that magic damage advantage. But definitely Colorado playing it very well.
Yeah, the Rams, I mean, Kapari played it perfectly. It was, don't feed Ascent, force him to make plays across the map, and that's exactly what he did. There's the Janna ban away from Dean. There's Seraphine as well, so everything taken out of the pocket of Kapari in the mid lane. He has played Orianna in this tournament. We'll see if maybe he wants to go to that, or if he has another champion up his sleeve. There's that Lulu also taken away. Probably the most bans we've ever seen targeted at that Boise State bot lane.
Definitely, and it is kind of crazy. I think the idea was that they knew that Ethug was going to that bot lane And so Janna, Lulu, both champions, very good at protecting a single target, especially when you're running some sort of hyper carry composition. The next in line, I'd say something like Soraka, Karma, Zillion. Zillion is an excellent choice, can literally keep even the squishiest hyper carries alive.
Be really curious to see what this AD carry is going to be for Boise State. Like I said, I mean, Ethug, seen him play in the jungle, a lot of Twitch. We've seen him play a lot of Kindred. Those are both banned away. He's been playing a lot of Twitch in solo queue in the AD carry role. Colorado State figured it out, so now it's his turn to prove he's not just a one-trick. There's the Thresh pickup for DJ Kush, a champion he plays very, very well, has played it time and time against Boise State. Really two spectacular results, and now once again, we're in the 5th pick, and Colorado State's got to come up with what stops Rumble the best.
I mean, if I was going to play into Rumble, Victor, not a bad choice, does have a bit of a range advantage over the Rumble, still very squishy, does bring crowd control to the team. Vayne is going to be the answer on the other side. That's not a champion we see too much of, but definitely sounds like an Ethug style of champion.
I've heard rumors that one scrim there was a jungle Vayne attempted by Ethug Lovely. That's all I've heard about the scrim. That might tell you the way it went, but it's something that he's at least tried to play, and I'll be very curious if he can pull it out. We're not going to see that snap damage like we saw from the AP Twitch with the Expunge, but it is a champion that very Ethug-esque. It can go invisible, and then next thing you know, someone like the Vayne will be in the back line, not the furthest away, because I don't know if Ethug knows how to run away.
Now, if there's one thing that I've always loved about Vayne, it's a little something I like to call Vayne spotting. So whenever there's a Vayne in the game, you keep your eye on that champion and watch how the Vayne plays. Watch where she goes. If she dives under tower for a kill, that's 1 point. If she flashes under tower or tumbles for it, those are more points towards you. How much danger is this Vayne willing to put themselves in order to chase after a kill?
I'm going to expect Ethug to set a new high score, but before we get to that, we'll take a look back at some of the moments that put Boise State in the driver's seat in game number 1. It all really started with that huge 3-man kill on the bot side, and then here, great play by Boise State, not pictured in the replay, was them forcing Kapari to back and turning this into a 5v4 that they easily were able to win.
Definitely, and they did have a team fight composition that allowed them to control these zones and force fights around objectives, which when you're running a Nunu really favors you.
Yeah, Colorado State only picking up 2 kills the entire game. They got first blood, and they got a pick onto Ascent, and that was it. You just see the amount of damage Ethug was able to put out. Really, no one could contest him in a 1v1. He was just that far ahead, and the rest of the Boise State team did a really, really good job of just making sure they supported him. This was probably the one moment where you realized this could still be a disaster for Boise State. Venona going to get 4-man dove here and still going to come within about 1 second of just taking Ethug down with him. That was less than 100 health, for sure. Less than 50, I think.
Yeah, I mean, things were definitely cut very close, but Boise State had a lot of protection that they were able to use to keep folks off Ethug. They'll have that same protection here going into game 2 now, but in a bit of a different way.
Yeah, I mean, I think the question really is going to become how will Ethug respond on something that isn't this Twitch, that isn't something he's been playing a lot of, that doesn't have that ability to just make people go pop. I mean, Vayne is a very technical champion to play with her short range. Yes, she does have probably as much burst as a Twitch in situations, but you cannot get caught out because you do not have much of an escape. As Boise State then did a really good job of turning this into just a roaming death squad, catching out members of Colorado State, putting the Rams on the back foot, and just never allowing them a chance to get back into the game.
And that is the downside of playing that 1-3-1 kind of split style that we saw come out of Colorado, is that if your one members get caught out, you lose all pressure in that lane, give an elimination over to the other team, and Boise State was able to quickly rotate from map section to map section to quickly rack up those eliminations.
Yeah, when Colorado State has given Boise State fits in the past, as we see the teams here, as we get ready for game number 2, the Broncos trying to knock Colorado State down from the unbeatens in CLOL, it has been when Venona has gotten to the point where 1v3s end up in his favor, and then you allow the rest of the team to have pressure across the map. So a lot of it is going to be on how fed can Venona get against Goblin on that Shen. Probably, once again, a very safe pick for him. Not going to be that familiarity like we talked about with the Gnar, who has that sort of AD carry-esque gameplay in some points. I think it's just going to be Boise State is going to tell Goblin, you just get as tanky as you can and hope Venona and Rudy just don't continuously gank you and get that Crocodile to the point where he is unkillable. Of course, we have Doc's keys to the game. Focus on a strong comp, play to Boise State's win condition, focus on what we've learned, and E-Thug Smash. Gonna be curious to see how it goes on that vein. It's all brought to you by Accountants at Trust Global Network. Delivers real-time fraud prevention, account protection, and enables a personalized customer experience from more than 9,000 leading brands and payment providers. If you want more information about staying safe online, go check them out at count.com, KOUNT.com. And I was maybe expecting, Lovely, if the Twitch got banned, Boise State would say, hey, let's just go back to the old format and see how it worked. But they're sticking with it here for game number 2 between the Rams and the Broncos.
Yeah, if they're going into game 2 with this Vayne in place of the Twitch, they must feel confident in his ability to play on these AD carries. And if he's been playing a lot of AD carry in solo queue, especially that Twitch, that might be a sign that they're really comfortable with this format. We might see this more often.
Yeah, I think the biggest question right now for Boise State is, what if Colorado State does to the Broncos what just got happened to them, and they win 18-2, they win going away, maybe E-Thug doesn't have a good game on that vein, then what do you do going into game 3? Because you know the Twitch will probably get banned away, you know the Kindred will probably get banned away. Do they trust E-Thug again on that vein, or do they swap it back up? That would be the one thing in my mind, is if the Rams win this game and E-Thug does not have a good game, then what do the Broncos do going into game 3? I hope we don't get there, but that's the question on everyone's mind. Once again, still, the craziest thing is it's not even a headline anymore. It's that Rumble has now not been banned 2 games in a row.
I can't believe that champion's gotten through, and we're not talking about it because it's not the craziest thing that's been happening in this game. So let's take a moment to talk about this Rumble. He appears to be running Electrocute. Very easy to proc on that Rumble if you're going for those extended fights, thanks to the Flame Spitter and his ability to fire off 2 rockets in quick succession, as well as auto attacks if you're close enough. He has the Equalizer, really great for these big team fights. We saw a lot of that in the previous game. You can use it to quickly clear waves. It's got a relatively low cooldown. Playing into this Victor kind of mid-range, brings a lot of area crowd control himself as well. Does outrange that Rumble, maybe going to try and poke the Rumble out.
Yeah, of course, the most interesting thing of all of that is Ascent's favorite champion. It is in his match history, you know, all of the time. And it's just something that you don't always see in high-level League of Legends, is giving someone their one trick. It's why one-trick players usually don't have very successful pro careers. Is, you know, you don't let Zion Spartan have Riven. You don't let Rest Rice have Akali, to date myself just a little bit. But the fact that it's gone through twice, and yeah, I'll say Kapari played well into it last time. He had a huge CS lead and didn't die. You can still see how comfortable Ascent feels on that champion.
I mean, definitely he played really well in the previous game. He's got it now. Things still pretty quiet, pretty even across the board. Nothing crazy going on. We do see an attempted on DJ Kush. He's going to be able to back up, though, on that Thresh, but not without half his health bar going missing.
Yeah, great job by E-Thug recognizing Flay on cooldowns. There was no death sentence available, so he was still level 1. I'm just going to tumble in knowing that there's not much they could do to me. Once again, Ascent has been bullied about as much as we've seen when he does get that Rumble. Venona doing a ton of damage, hoping that the skin change on the Renekton will bring him better fortune this time around against that Shen. But I mean, a very familiar role for the Boise State top lane, no matter who's been playing it this season. Just don't die. Just do what you can to stay in the lane. You'll have an impact later in the fight, especially with that Stand United on the Shen when he hits level 6.
Definitely, and you don't want to fight a Renekton early on anyway. I do think that the Shen is a very good pick into the Renekton. You can deny his stun and a lot of his damage output just by putting up that Spirit's Refuge to deny the auto attacks. But we see an in-lane gank here coming from Red Hots.
Looks like the Snowball is going to make a hard right turn and just walk away. Yeah, the only thing that concerns me right now is you see the CS. It is 20-4 in favor of Venona, and that is going to be an issue where, yes, the Shen might have to stand united, but if Venona is that far ahead that he's able to just come in and one-shot that shield, that could be an issue. As Rudy's going to charge in, he's going to smite the Rift Herald. The Scent's going to get stunned up. He's forced to flash away. But Boise State, unfortunately, going to have to lose a flash over a Rift Scuttle.
Thankfully, it was only the one flash. They did have the potential to try and turn on that fight. We did see the Hecarim, I believe, burn the Ghost in response. So that is a summoner for a summoner burn. But if I'm going to burn a summoner, I'd rather burn a Ghost because that's going to be up a lot sooner.
Yeah, this is the best we've seen teams handle this Rumble. I mean, once again, Kapari does have the slight CS lead. He was level 4 in that fight as to level 3 for Ascent. So he's been playing it about as well as you could expect, and now with that flash down, I would expect that Hecarim to be returning to lane very, very shortly, as Goblin clearly learned his lesson from last time. He is hugging that tower as hard as he can, and unlike Gnar, Shen's going to be a lot harder to kill under a turret if you try and dive him.
Definitely. What with that taunt, the Spirit's Refuge, and his crazy awesome passive. I love that passive, by the way. There's a nice condemn under the tower. Not going to follow up on it, though.
I was waiting for the death sentence to come out and get a pick onto him. Kapari now rotating out of lane, going to give Ascent that level advantage just by a small margin, so the Ascent does not leave. Should get the equalizer first, but you see the pings coming out. They want to maybe bait Ascent into being a bit over-aggressive. Red Hot is there, but I don't know if he'd be able to get there in time if the gank goes out.
We're now about 5 minutes into the game right now, 5 on the mark. Dragon is going to be available here if the teams want to rotate down to it. We do see the Nunu heading that way, is using the snowball, potentially just for the movement speed as Ascent overheats.
Gonna get that flame spitter damage as much as he can. Red Hot's gonna find out Rudy. He is a level down. Gonna try and take his chicken. He will do just that, and now looks like Boise State will rotate down to the Dragon. Does feel like Colorado State's a little bit more prepared this time for the Dragon with that Nunu. They're gonna ping him out. They have the ward. And Rudy's still down there. Death Sentence is going to land on the Dean. Flay will land as well. Guardian procs, Kichi low on mana. Silver Bolts will go off. There's an Ignite onto Ethug just to try and disengage Boise State, and it'll do just that.
Red Hot's going to swing by. One more snowball. Kind of been doing a lot of these drive-by snowballs, just trying to find someone out if he can, and if not, just using the momentum to carry himself into another part of the jungle. So giving himself a lot of extra movement speed, which might be how he's getting ahead of this Hecarim.
Goblin now level 6, so the Stand United is available. Of course, one of the biggest things about Shen is that ability to Stand United into a fight, then teleport back. Venona, of course, does have the stun to stop it, so Goblin does have to be careful and make sure he doesn't lose the ability to help in a fight and have to burn that teleport instead. But meanwhile, everything pretty calm. Not even that first dragon. It's a Cloud Drake after a Cloud Soul last time, as Kichi's going to get stunned and will DJ Kush. Dean put on a clinic on this Zillion.
Yeah, the Zillion is another thing that that's worth talking about. But before we do see a snowball trying to come out. Ascent burns. Wow, First Blood, Ignite, and Equalizer come out for that.
I do think Rudy's gonna be able to chase him down. There's the Stand United at the perfect time. Does look like he's gonna get stopped. Ascent did not know that. He went back in. And a great play by Venona to stop the Stand United channel from finishing from Goblin. You saw Ascent turn back around. If he just kept running, I think he might have been able to get away.
It is possible. I do think Hecarim has the movement speed that he might have been able to chase him down and eliminate him either way, but definitely good play by Venona stopping that, really turned that fight around.
Nice shot by Ascent, pick up the first blow, but he got stunned out by Kapari, and that allowed Rudy to jump right on top of him, and just not much he could do. But it's still first blood to Boise State. Colorado State, though, still in the gold lead, especially in that top lane where the CS is 2-1 in favor of Venona, 55-27 mid lane. Still favoring Kapari by quite a bit, and then Ethug in the lead in that bot lane, keeping Boise State in it. Surprised no one's hopped onto this Dragon yet, but you have to think it's only a matter of time. A Cloud Drake not very vital to early team success. Maybe even just going to pick up that Rift Herald instead.
There is a lot of pressure on the bottom side of the map. They do now have priority, but they do not have a jungler there. Ping going towards the mid lane for Colorado, maybe looking for something there.
See Ascent doing a great job realizing that he is the kill target with Flash still on cooldown. Goblin going to try and jump onto Venona. He's going to use the ultimate. Red Hot might be in a bad position. Taunt's barely going to land. Slice and Dice plus the Flash from Venona is going to pick up him a kill. And now Red Hot's in a very poor position. He'll get the ult. Full damage onto that Renekton and with no escapability. Venona dropped very low, but he gets the heal from the Cold of Meek. They pick up Dragon as well, and Boise State losing across the map. They give up 2 in the top lane and the Dragon.
And this is the Renekton that we were talking about, this early game lane bully with ridiculous sustain. Dangerous position here. There's a flash and a play. It's going to get out. The Onslaught of Shadows underneath the tower, but Kichi still picks up the elimination. Dean's got nowhere to go. Does end up picking up 1 on the way down. Here comes the Equalizer, though.
Yeah, Boise State's going to be able to pick up one. Teleport's going to be used by Venona to try and save Kapari. He's going to jump right on top of Goblin. Kichi trying to help what he can. Ascent's going to pick up a double kill. Goblin's not going to get in tower range, but both the members of Colorado State are incredibly low. Heat has now reset. Heal's going to be used by Kichi there. Going to try and flash away. Greatest Snowball ever is not going to make it in time. It's a triple kill for Ascent. Venona's going to try and make a hero play. It's a quadra kill for Ascent, and that is why you banned Rumble.
5-1-0 now on this champion. Flashes there, a little BA emote there. Overall, like, I think that the speed that this Nunu has been showing around the map, being able to join in all of these crucial fights is really turning things around for Boise State, especially now able to set up a triple kill, or pardon, a quadra kill on this Rumble.
Yeah, Ascent showing why he is so often getting that champion banned away, why he plays that champion so much. The only thing that I think Boise State still has to be worried about, yes, the Rumble is 5-1. Renekton's 3-1 and clearly has shown, even when outnumbered, he has the ability to turn a fight. So, going to be interesting to see who kind of wins that dive battle between the Rumble and the Renekton and trying to pick off the enemy's backline.
It does look like he is going for the Blade of the Ruin King start, which is really effective into these tank fights. It's very much a duelist item, so very effective against the Shen here, who is going to keep himself protected. As opposed to the Gore Drinker, which would give him a lot more sustain in these fights. So maybe one of those advantages that Boise State kind of quietly picking up for themselves.
See the pings going out onto the Rift Herald, trying to make sure that Boise State does not get all of the objectives uncontested, much like they did in Game 1, with only one Rift Herald being on the side of Colorado State. 4 Dragons, a Rift Herald, and a Baron for Boise State and Red Hots. But this Nunu not going to have as much success this time. Looks like it's going to be that Rift Herald going over to Colorado State. Last time, they used it to get first tower. I'll be curious if they try that again. And I'm going to guess all that pressure is going to be on that top side. Goblin probably in for a long 5 minutes here with that Renekton constantly diving him in the threat of the Rift Herald.
Definitely. Death Sentence does come out. They're not going to chase underneath. Meanwhile, in the top lane, so much pressure by Venona. We're talking 87-39 in terms of farm. It feels bad in that sort of 1v1 situation, but Goblin is a tank. He knows he's got the utility for his team. Gonna keep on surviving, even though that gold lead definitely going very heavily over to the side of Colorado State this early in the game.
Yeah, you can see it's about 1,800 difference. 1,800 gold lead for Venona in the top lane. It's about 1,300 for Ascent in the mid lane. 80 carries, 300 gold on the side of Ethug, and then the jungle about a 700 gold difference favoring Colorado State. But yeah, it's going to be the Renekton and the Rumble show. Which one can do more damage while the rest of the team tries and catch up to how far ahead they are? There's that Rift Herald going to be dropped. Picks up a couple plates, but nothing more. Red Hots is on the bottom side of the map. That sentence is going to miss. And it looks like Colorado State's just going to be forced to disengage.
DJ Kush really having a hard time able to landing these scale shots. We've seen multiple flays and death sentences find no target. He did manage to find one in that crucial team fight down in the bottom side of the map, but only really managed to get one elimination of it. We see Ascent drops the equalizer, not able to complete the kill.
Yeah, nice flash there by Kapari, able to get away. Red Hots and Rudy now in a little bit of a battle. Red Hot's going to walk right past Kapari, who was just channeling his back. He'll get that one off at about 25%. Boise State doesn't look like they want to make a play here in that mid lane, so everything's going to settle down just a little bit. Dragon is up. Here's a teleport, though. Onslaught of Shadows is going to be used. Stand United will come out from Goblin. Kapari is teleported in. The taunt is going to miss. Ascent's got to be careful. Rudy's between him and the rest of the team. He'll get stunned, but now he's going to try and retreat. The rest of the team has left him. Dean going to rotate over. Rudy's going to bite off more than he can chew. That's going to be an on-fire horse. It's horse burgers tonight for Boise State. Kapari trying to run away. Now the taunt lands. The Broncos pick up 2 and capitalize on Colorado State's aggression. Venona picks up first tower for his team, but at what cost?
At what cost? Boise State now has pressure in that mid lane. Goblin now getting a little gold. That's going to help stabilize him there up against this Renekton, who has that huge farm lead. Just having that extra gold to be a little bit tankier, survive a little bit longer, and now Venona being forced to back, not really able to safely push up that lane without pressure from the rest of his team.
Kill on the jungler also means Boise State's going to be able to pick up the Ocean Dragon for free here. So we'll either get an Infernal or a Mountain Soul as our one for this game. Sure, Boise State wouldn't have issues with either, and it's going to be the Mountain Souls. A little bit more tankier across the board. Definitely something Goblin is going to be a big fan of to try and shut down this Renekton.
Already, though, we do see that Colorado State is playing this game a lot better than they did in Game 1. Now, roughly even with Boise State here across the board. They still do have, in fact, a slight gold lead thanks to just the farm that they're able to get out of their lanes. Turret plating now fallen at 14 minutes into the game.
Now, this way for Boise State, they're just content letting their lanes kind of play out. Surprised we haven't seen any sort of lane swap here. We do see Venona chilling down there by that red buff. Red Hots has no idea. Didn't get it in time, though. Consume maybe caught Venona off guard on how much damage it does. He throws out one Q and then just going to retreat back to that top lane.
Yeah, that consume ability really great for being able to secure buffs, as we've seen time and time again. So honestly, I was worried that Venona was just going to try and go for the elimination now.
Same.
And we do see Dean coming up just to guide Ascent out as he clears the wave.
Yeah, I'm shocked that Boise State hasn't maybe tried to swap their bot lane up to the top side and shut down Venona, because he's going to be able to push against Goblin for what feels like most of the game. Now Boise State's going to try and do the exact same thing over on this red buff, except this time they're not going for the buff. They want the kill. Stun's going to land on the DJ Kush. He's going to be forced to use the stopwatch. Equalizer will be dropped. He'll flash away. Descent is not going to land. Ignite ticking. Is it going to be enough? It looks like the answer is no. So both teams try a red buff invade. Neither of them come out with a kill. But now Boise State wants to re-engage. Onslaught of Shadows forced to be used by Rudy, and then he even still gets knocked up. So Boise State now going to take both red buffs away from the side of Colorado State.
Definitely, and going to hand it over to that side. It just goes to show that the way they're playing it and the number of members that they're willing to commit does make a difference. Only one member committed to that initial red buff attempt steal. Well, 3 members committed onto that bottom side, and now Boise State picks up a tower for themselves. That's going to be their first tower of the game. And really, this gold lead is really starting to shrink. They're almost even.
Gold lead is pretty even. Of course, a lot of the gold for Colorado State is going to be on Venona in that top lane. So if he's not in the fight, the gold lead is clearly on the side of Boise State, but the Broncos also have that for Ascent as well, who's 6-1-0. 600 gold bounty on his head. It sounds like the second Rift Herald is spawning soon. We'll see if either team prioritizes that or if they would just wait for Baron to spawn. Looks like a rotation coming down from the mid laners. There's a jungler there as well. It's a full party. Meanwhile, Goblin and Venona just battling it out on the top side, or more Goblin just trying to stay alive. Snowball's going to land on Takichi. There is the tumble. Going to try and land that third shot. Equalizer will come out. DJ Kush uses the box around it, but they want Kichi. They're going to find him. DJ Kush now the lone remaining member. Minion's not going to cooperate, so Ascent will grab tower aggro. Barely able to get out in time. Red Hot's going to consume as well. The chase is on for Thresh. Meanwhile, Kapari is pushing that mid lane. Colorado State trying to catch Boise State, trying to bait him to the rest of his team. But the Vayne passive is too much movement speed. Boise State picks up 2 more in the bot side. We'll see if anything can come for Colorado State to try and minimize that. It looks like mid tower will not fall.
It's hard to get away from a Vayne, especially when you don't have your boots completed, and Vayne does. And she's backed up by a Zillion. Speaking of speed, and Zillion, Etha gonna chase down. Is gonna pop that ultimate just to be safe, because he knows that Etha could be putting himself in danger. They do not pick up that elimination, unfortunately, as a jungler waiting there in the wings. Maybe they're gonna try this again, though. Etha getting that movement speed bonus. Look at how fast this Vayne is as Hecarim tries to engage. Onslaught of Shadows condemned away, and Boise State now onto this Rift Herald.
Stand United has been used, so Ethug now has no cover. DJ Kush and Kichi going to try and come in from the backside. Ascent's going to drop that equalizer. Kapari dropping very, very low. Should survive with just 1 tick of health. Red Hots has the biggest snowball ever. They're going to knock Rudy up into the air. He's not going to be able to get away, and Boise State will pick up 1 for the trouble. Ton of ultimates burned to keep Ethug alive. DJ Kush and Venona want to go over the wall. Boise State's got to be careful. There's still a teleport for Goblin if he wants to use it. There they go. Blast Cone over. The ward's going to give him away. Ethug's going to have to retreat. There's the teleport in from Goblin. Slow's going to land onto Venona, going to forced to use the ult. Nice tumble there. Ethug trying to stay alive. There's a taunt and a knock from the snowball, and that is a dead Renekton. DJ Kush now caught out all alone. Kapari jumped back into the fight. Ascent's going to make it pay once again. They do take down Dean, but it is going to be enough besides a blip for Colorado State. They will lose DJ Kush as well. It is a 4-for-1 as Rudy just respawns, and Boise State started to push that advantage just a little bit.
They've got two very threatening members, and the rest of Boise State's composition really just designed to keep those two members alive. We can see it here in this fight. Ethug should have been caught out by Venona early on in that fight. Even here, should have been bursted down, but just has the ability to continue kiting back his team, enabling the slows and crowd control to allow him to continue to pick things off from a distance of his choice.
We see Boise State immediately made the call to hop on to that Dragon. Doesn't look like Colorado State wants to contest as well. They're going to hop on to the Rift Herald. She will despawn before the 20-minute mark, so they've got to burn that pretty quickly. They do have Kichi rotating down, so it should be enough. Boise State will gladly trade that for a Dragon, and we'll see what Colorado State wants to do with Heraldina if they're able to pick her up.
That's the third Dragon of the game here on this mountain-style Rift. And that's additional magic resist and armor, which is really big for these big tanks here on the side of Boise State, as opposed to maybe a bit more damage focused on Colorado.
Does look like the Rams were able to pick up that Rift Herald, so we'll see where he wants to be dropped. Goblin's got to be careful. Venona can still quite easily 1v1 him as he's going to hop right on top of him. Red Hots is close by, but he's still also got a turret he can retreat to as well. So Boise State will just give him the okay to back up. And now it looks like Dean and Ethug want to get that top turret, give Boise State a little bit more pressure. Still working on that mid turret. It's not taking a lot of damage, and it looks like there might be a rotation up. No, looks like Colorado State realizes there's a free mid turret. Let's just try and take this thing out. DJ Kush and Kichi going to match Boise State's bot lane on the top side.
And it is going to be a lot of focus on that top side of the map. Two members there from Colorado, but he's not alone either up there. 2 versus 2, just kind of a showing of that bot lane. Ascent wandering around. He could be a very dangerous shutdown. Could be a lot of gold. Is going to get found out, but Ascent scaring him away. Of course you'd be scared. That's a 6-1-3 Rumble with all of his cooldowns available.
Yeah, you got the 10-stack Darksteel. He's got the Zanyas as well. Kichi's got to be in trouble. Still has the ability to go pop, much like we saw in that last game. But for now, Colorado State just kind of playing it very slow. Do not want to give Boise State any more advantage than they already have given them in the last few fights. We see Venona rotating down to stop Goblin. Still a Rift Herald in the back pocket of Rudy, but right now nowhere great to drop it. So he'll hold on to it.
Kind of a very similar look to even just the beginning of the game here, but it does look like Boise State now has that pressure, are charging underneath the tower using the Red Hots. They're using Red Hots as snowball. He's going to take a lot of damage. They do catch Ethug, but here comes the ultimate from from Red Hots in the top lane. Goblin going to keep him safe. Venona now the only one left alive here in this scenario. No, there's a Hecarim on the back line, but I'm not sure he can do much against all the members of Boise State.
Oh, perfect ult there from Dean to keep Ethug alive. They're going to try and burn down this tower. Rudy's caught in a very interesting spot. Boise State wants to chase down Renekton. Rudy's still there as well. Venona almost takes down Ethug for a second time, but not able to get to him. And now Boise State has their eyes on this Baron. It was warded out by Rudy. Does have the ability to steal it, but without an onslaught of shadows, without a blast cone, looks like he's just going to give that one up.
Certainly, I wouldn't even bother making the attempt. Not when all these members of Boise State have so many ways to shut you out. And he is going to end up meeting Goblin. Going to do a lot of damage thanks to that Divine Sunderer, but now going to be caught out by other members of Boise State. There's the equalizer. Ascent godlike now. 8-1-3.
Yeah, great job by Goblin, kind of baiting Rudy into thinking, oh, the rest of them are on Baron, maybe I can just do some damage, and then here comes Dean for the slowdown, and then great job picking up the kill. The kill secured, I'm sure what his Ascent is telling his teammates with that equalizer. And Boise State, once again, it felt a lot closer in this game as we talked about, but probably from about the 12-minute mark on, it feels like the Broncos have been in full control. Colorado State's doing everything they can to kill Ethug. The problem is Boise State drafted a comp around keep the Ethug alive.
On top of that, they're putting all those resources into getting Ethug, and as a result, they're not putting those resources into getting Ascent, who currently very much ahead in this game. 2 very dangerous carries on the other side. If either of them goes down, that's a huge amount of shutdown gold. So at what point do you stop saying, okay, we need to stop trying to focus on Ethug, we need to get ourselves ahead, we need to take down this Rumble here who's been ripping us apart?
Yeah, the biggest problem for Colorado State is both of them have 8 kills, 8-1-3 for Ascent, 8-1-2 for Ethug. The one you don't attack is probably going to rip your team apart. Vayne, of course, has less health, doesn't have the Zanyas, but I do think you're right, Glove. There does become a time of when do you maybe bait Boise State after all the resources have been used to try and kill Ascent. Ethug's going to drop incredibly low. Going to get, once again, a huge ult from Dean to come back to life. They're going to pick off Kichi, and Boise State, everything in their power to keep Ethug alive. Is you mentioned spot the Vayne. How many points was that worth tower diving for an 80 carry?
I mean, I don't think it's worth any points considering he knew he had the Zillion there to back him up. Didn't end up even going down, even if he did pick up the kill. So just a really smart dive.
And Boise State's rotating over to this Dragon. Going to try and put themselves on Soul Point. They know Rudy is there. There's no Blast Cone. There's an onslaught of Shadows. And that's about it. But the Smite advantage is 2 levels for Red Hots, plus he has Consume. And we'll see if Colorado State even wants to try and fight this. There's the onslaught of Shadows up the wall. He's going to steal it. He's going to pay for it with his life. But a great play by Rudy, a desperation play to keep Colorado State in it. The onslaught of Shadows over the wall, but with Baron still around, we'll see how far Boise State can push in a 4v5.
He did end up trading his life for that Dragon, so Boise State now in a position where they are 4 versus 5, and they have Baron buff. They can pressure across the map. Goblin now able to fight Venona on his own terms, thanks to the time he spent scaling up. Renekton falls off so hard. Goblin picks up the revenge kill.
We didn't see that flash, Goblin. You're good.
Ethug now legendary, chasing under multiple towers. Double kill over to Ethug. Even have the ultimate stand united from the Shen to keep him alive. My goodness, this is a team designed to prevent you from getting as many points in Vayne spotting as possible. Ascent now legendary here as Red Hots chases down one more target. Victor not going to live long enough. Double kill to Ascent. Boise State full control now and can take the base as they please.
Yeah, the only thing stopping them from winning off the ace is the fact they still have to get through that mid inhibitor. Respawn's coming soon here for DJ Kush and Kichi, as well as Venona now all alive. So Boise State gets the ace, but will still have to retreat. But yeah, now we've reached that point where even Goblin is able to 1v1. Venona did have quite a bit of help from those Baron buff minions. You see Ascent 12-1 and 5. He's got the 25 stack Magi Soul Stealer. He's going to be pumping out an insane amount of damage. And Ethug, the whole comp, making sure he just stays alive.
At this point, you need to try and adjust your strategy here. If you are Colorado State, you need to try and focus around what champions are going to be able to hyper carry you into this late game. I say you focus around your Kaisa. You have a lot of tools that you can use to peel people off. Victor's Gravity Well, you have the stun from the Renekton, you have the Death Sentence and the Flay from Thresh, so you've got a lot of tools that you can use to peel and give this Kaisa extra stacks on her passive to put out the damage, but you need to be able to position in such a way that you're able to get those crucial eliminations. If Kaisa picks up these shutdowns, we could see the whole game turn around.
Yeah, I think the other thing is, as we see a fight break out here, Ascent's going to get hooked in. Onslaught of Shadows. There's one shutdown. It's onto Venona, probably the second best person besides Kaisa. Red Hot's going to be forced to try and run away as fast as he can. Flash Death Sentence just going to miss. Now Kaisa's going to jump in. There's another one. Boise State a little bit too aggro. Goblin, I don't know what you're doing there, man. He's just trying to, I guess, buy time for the rest of his team as the Super Minions are starting to beat down the base. Unfortunately, he could not stop all of the back, so he's just going to hand over a shutdown.
Is he going to live?
No, there's no way. Venona...
I think he's going to live.
No, not from the Hecker Room.
Okay, that's fair.
Look, he's still trying to buy just enough time. As you see right now, Ethug's already taken down one. Trying to stop the backs. There's another kill for Ethug. Unfortunately, the ult from Dean's going to end, and that means Boise State's not going to get much more edit than anything in the base. So Boise State tries a weird base race, stop the backs when they're so far ahead, and they put Colorado State right back in this game.
It was amazing just how much time they were able to buy, though, with Goblin on that Shen. I thought he was either gonna be dead in an instant or he was gonna get away there, but proved that he could turn around and hold out those fights for an incredibly long time. We did see the shutdown onto the Vayne, though, but it went over to DJ Kush, and that is not a champion that you want to give all that gold to.
Yeah, at least for Colorado State, they got the 2,000 gold shutdowns off the table. Good news, one of them went on to Venona. Bad news, the other one went on to DJ Kush, as Dean is just now messing with the ramps, outrunning everybody, including the Hecarim. Baron is now up. We'll see if Boise State wants to take that fight. Looks like for now they don't have an interest, but they got to be careful as the Stand United is going to come out. Venona's going to try and slice a dice away, but the slice misses a target, so there's no dice available. And he's going to be owing the casino money as he's going to be taken out. Goblin now going to try and run down Kapari. There's the ultimate from Red Hots. He's going to be able to take down Victor. Huge taunt's going to land on Takichi. Be able to get over the wall and just barely escape. Rudy's going to cover for him. Teleport is coming out, though Goblin wants to get in on the fight. Boise State wants to end this one and get revenge for the shutdowns they just lost. Taunt is going to miss. Onslaught of Shadows will be used. DJ Kush just trying to buy as much time for the rest of his team as he can. And Boise State will go 3 for 0. Ethug now just joining the fight, and the rest of the members of Colorado State have a very tough task ahead of them while the rest of their team respawns.
We do see the dive underneath the tower, though. Goblin just trying to get a taunt onto this Kaisa in the back lane. Does get the shutdown, though, but is going to fall. Boise State, complete control of the end of this game. I think that's going to be the end.
Yeah, looks like there is nothing to save that Nexus now. Boise State making sure Colorado State remembers who is the Mountain West champion from the fall in CLOL. It was the Broncos, and Boise State remains undefeated with a 2-0 victory over Colorado State. But the Rams still definitely a force to be reckoned with. 2-1 record overall for Colorado State against Nevada, San Jose State, and Boise State. I'm sure they will take that. The Broncos still have to play Nevada, and they still have to play San Jose State, so maybe they could trip up and allow Colorado State to get back in the driver's seat. But for now, it's a 2-0 win for Boise State, and the Broncos got to be feeling very happy over how that game just went. So happy that if you get a chance to win chat, you can get some respawn gear, and maybe it'll make you play just like the Broncos Glovely.
I mean, certainly, I would like to have access to that really cool-looking water bottle or all of those energy drinks. Maybe I'm not much of an energy drinker myself, but you know, when I start getting tired and exhausted from long nights playing League of Legends, it's the perfect pick-me-up so I can lose a few more times in solo queue.
Still a huge win for Boise State. 2-0 in Colorado State. Don't forget that there is a chance, as we said, to win chat. You just got to be funny, clever, encouraging, but not mean. You can pick up some of that sick respawn gear. But for Boise State, quite a crazy day for the Broncos. Completely changing roles. Absolutely running over Colorado State. We still have our ICCU player of the game. I mean, it's probably a toss-up between Ascent or Ethug, I'd have to think.
I mean, definitely those two were the big carries for their teams. Rumble got through twice today. I'm still processing that. But I'd also think that a lot of credits goes over to Red Hots, who not only peeled for those two members, but also created a lot of the objective control that Boise State was really reliant on to get the game shoving forward.
Yeah, I think the biggest question going forward is going to become, is this the new normal for Boise State? Are they still going to potentially flex back to their old ways? Because it puts a lot on the table for teams. If Kindred's up and you ban away the Twitch, do you see Etha go back onto the Kindred? How permanent is this going to be? I think that's a really good question, but I think now it becomes the main headline. If you're Colorado State, what was your game plan not banning Rumble? Because I think that really allowed this comp to succeed because you knew Ascent wasn't going to need any sort of help from the rest of the team. He's just going to be able to pop off on his own.
Definitely. That's another thing you have to consider is that there's so many champions that you have to ban away before Boise State really overwhelms you with the kind of power picks we have. Now we're going to see exactly who is our player of the game.
No, I mean, I think anyone is probably deserving, even Goblin, for kind of being that poor meat shield in the top lane and just taking beating after beating from Venona. It is going to be Ascent, though. He gets his favorite champion and makes Colorado State probably question what exactly the game plan was going into it. Absolutely phenomenal on the Rumble. I think at least 20 kills in 2 games, which is just incredible. Of course, Ethug played a huge role in that as well on the Twitch, but a huge congratulations to Ascent. He is the Idaho Central Credit Union player of the game. ICCU believes a great player makes a team more successful, just like Idaho Central is helping their members achieve financial success. Ascent is your ICCU player of the game.
I think today is a great showing of that sort of warning story about why you don't let those one-trick players have access to those champions who they spend so much time and effort mastering down to the tiniest key detail.
And I will say I can understand in a macro sense where Colorado State was coming from. I think Kapari did the best we've seen of anyone in terms of shutting down Ascent in the laning phase. The problem is, it wasn't the laning phase where Ascent got fed. It was the rest of the team fights where he absolutely popped off. And since everyone's trying to kill Ethug, he was just free to do what he wanted with his Equalizer and his Flame Spitter.
And that's really, just kind of a focus on prioritization. Which member of the team do you attack? How do you attack them? And since Boise State has the ability to flex who the big carry is with Ascent in the mid lane and Ethug in the bot like that, there's so much more freedom as Boise State. You can see them even in these team fights committing a lot of resources just to peeling people off of their main carries. And because the focus is split, those carries get to live for a lot longer than they normally should.
Yeah, Boise State showing, even as the defending champion, they're still working on new strats, completely changing up how the roster looks in terms of lanes. We get Goblin in the top lane, Red Hots in the jungle, Ethug in the bot lane. We'll see how long this lasts. We'll see if they just kind of say, you know what, it depends on picks and bans. It's a very, very interesting strategy. They played it to a T, and I'll be curious to see going forward against the likes against Nevada, San Jose State, and the rest of the Mountain West. How do you target down this team? Do you ban out Ethug from the jungle? Do you ban him out from the AD carry role? It's going to be very, very interesting, and this is the other thing that we've seen with Boise State in the past. When Nunu started to get banned away, the jungle kind of fell apart. So what does Red Hots have up his sleeve if teams also start banning away that Nunu to try and pick on him in the jungle?
I mean, we have footage of him playing a lot of other champions. We've seen Ivern and we've seen Gragas. They bring a lot of more utility to that champion pool, which I think sometimes Boise State tends to lack since they like to focus on that damage or they like to have these big beefy tanks.
Well, that is going to almost wrap up everything here for us tonight. We still have our top plays, but you don't want to go anywhere after that. We will have our post-game press conference with Doc Haskell. Got to be pretty excited to 2-0 one of the top teams in the Mountain West and let everybody know that Boise State, even as the defending champion, still has some tricks up their sleeve. But the Idaho Army National Guard, who invites you to take your impressive critical thinking skills into real time with more than 10 jobs offering a $20,000 bonus and your degree of choice paid for. If you want more information, go check them out at iGuard Gaming. They're going to bring us our top plays, then we'll be back with our post-game press conference. In the Boise State Game Pants Esports Arena, we have our post-game press conference with Doc Haskell coming off Boise State's 2-0 victory over Colorado State in LoL to remain undefeated. And, of course, Doc, the first thing we got to ask is about the new roles for Boise State. Where did it come from? Is it permanent? And were even you expecting it in tonight's game?
Well, I can't answer the second question, but I'll give you the first and the third. Is that going to be good enough?
I'll take that.
It really comes from Dean. This is not the first time we've done a role swap. In fact, if you look back in the history books, the last time we ran a significant role swap last year, it was against Colorado State. They shouldn't be surprised by it, but Dean is the one who really pushed and got everybody on board with the idea.
I mean, it makes Boise State even that much harder to defend. I cannot wait to see where this goes. And speaking of that, what's the schedule for the rest of the Mountain West here coming up for CLOL? I mean, we know we still have Nevada and San Jose State on the table. Are they coming up, or does Boise State have a couple of weeks maybe to practice and refine this comp?
They're coming up sooner. We've got Air Force next week. Air Force still strong. They're different than they've been in the past years, but still deserving of our attention and respect. We have them tomorrow, and then we just kind of circle that calendar for Nevada and the rest of the folks.
And I gotta say, could we see maybe like Dean playing mid lane next game? I was just totally not ready for this. What else do you guys got under the sleeve that you can hint at us?
It is not in my nature to be mysterious, but I can't talk about it, and I can't talk about why.
Yeah, it's hard enough for me to do all my homework and read all these patch notes, and then I got to be like, is everyone going where I think they're going? It's pretty impressive, and I guess you can wrap this up with a big shout-out to Etug for hitting Challenger this season, and probably a big reason why he got into that 80 carry role.
And you know what? There's more coming in that way, too. And Skull Chaos, congratulations. You're our winner today.
There you go. Big shout-out to Skull Chaos for winning chat. Big shout-out to Boise State for remaining undefeated in CLOL. Didn't drop a game against Colorado State tonight. 3-0 in Call of Duty, 2-0 in League of Legends. The Broncos remain undefeated in CLOL and put the rest of the Mountain West on notice that not even the casters know where everybody is going. But that's going to wrap up things for us tonight. Big shout out to production and Glovely as well as Nappy for calling Call of Duty with me, making everyone look and sound good. Huge congratulations to Skull Chaos as well for winning chat. But until next time, have a great evening.